Thank you for viewing this innovation blog brought to you by the Prosecutors Center for Excellence and Equitas. My name is Sophia Roach, and today we will be learning about a prosecutor-led job fair in Montgomery County, Alabama. With us to provide an overview of this innovation is Daryl Bailey. He started his career with the Montgomery County District Attorney in 1997 and spent the next 17 years prosecuting serious cases and managing attorneys until he was elected in 2014, and he remains the elected DA. District Attorney Bailey is the current president of the Alabama District Attorneys Association and sits on two statewide task force groups, which advise the governor both on human resources and juvenile justice. Throughout the course of his terms, he has developed several prevention and rehabilitation programs, and he's here today to talk about his innovative approach to helping previously convicted individuals. So welcome, District Attorney Bailey.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Just before we kind of get into the meat and potatoes, if you can tell us a little bit about your jurisdiction, how many prosecutors there are in your office.
Well, Montgomery, Alabama is the capital of the state of Alabama. We have a jurisdiction of about 200,000 people. Of course, being the state capital, that swells during the day. So we have a lot of people who commute into our city. Unfortunately, we have a pretty high crime rate. Our violent crime rate is pretty high for a city of our size. So we stay very busy in our office prosecuting those type of cases. We have about 26 prosecutors in our office. We have 6 prosecutors that solely do violent crime that are assigned to our violent crime unit, and all they do is prosecute homicides.
And tell us a little bit about this program. How did you come up with this idea?
Well, I came up with this idea because during the pandemic, of course, we saw a lot of struggles. One of the struggles that we saw in our community was businesses were having a hard time staying open because they couldn't find people to work. And I thought, well, this is a great time and a great opportunity to have those who've been in the criminal justice system, who have paid their debt to society, who want to try to get a fresh start, to get a fresh start. And it's an opportunity to help fulfill a need that our businesses needed at the time, and obviously fulfill a need those formerly incarcerated and convicted people needed. So we came up with the idea of having this second chance job fair and not knowing if it would work or not, or be successful, and what we, on both ends, whether businesses would come and be willing to take a second chance on individuals, and whether those who have been in the criminal justice system would attend. And what we found out is yes to both of those. We had more businesses the first time than we had space, which was awesome. And we had individuals lined up out the door an hour before our event on our very first job fair. So the overwhelming response let us know that we were doing something good.
And so why was this type of effort important to you from a prosecution perspective, including a public safety perspective?
Yeah, because statistics show me that individuals that are gainfully employed, that are working, are a lot less likely to be involved in the criminal justice system. So if we can get people a job and keep them working at a decent wage, then they're a lot less likely to come and be filling up our court dockets and committing more crimes and obviously stay out of the penitentiary. So that was a goal, is to try to get people gainfully employed, to keep them out of the criminal justice system.
And can you tell us a little bit about what types of partnerships you sought out in the community for collaboration, both governmental and private sector?
So the very first partnership that we had was space, right? We didn't really want to have to pay for space because we're a prosecuting agency. We don't have money like nobody, like every other prosecuting agency. So our first one, we made a partnership with a local church, and they were provided a space, but they also helped us advertise and get the word out through social media and through our traditional media, which was great. We eventually outgrew those facilities and wound up making a partnership with city government in a city complex because just the space needs that we had. But then we sought out partnerships with businesses, small businesses and large corporations in our city and in our state to be able to have someone there to provide the jobs for these individuals. And then we had to reach the individuals. So we worked with probation and pardons and parole, our probation officers. We worked with our work release facilities. We worked with our circuit clerk's office, just to get the word out to the individuals that we were having this job fair and that they would be afforded this second chance possibly.
Now, I noticed in some of your materials that you actually offered some other really important services when people came in to participate in this job fair. Can you talk a little bit about that and why integration of that part of it is so important in this particular type of effort?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the services that we offered is we had a nonprofit come and teach individuals how to write a resume, how to fill out a job application, how to dress, and even provide clothing if needed to the individual. So I thought that was a great resource. We also have an expungement clinic. So we got with civil legal services and with our circuit clerk's office, and they were there to provide expungements to anyone who was eligible under our state law. And that wound up being the most popular thing that we did. Those tables, I think the last job fair that we had, there was like 6 people working just solely on expungements, and there were lined up multiple lines waiting to try to get those services. So that was a great thing aside from the job fair that we did. We also had our clerk's office, circuit clerk's office there to provide background checks for any employer who had questions about a person's background. Obviously all the employers coming in knew that this was a second chance job fair and these people have been through the criminal justice system, but they just wanted to verify what types of crimes and that the individuals were telling them the truth, that type of thing. So we also had that resource available for the employers.
Can you tell us a bit about what you think has been most successful in this program? Any lessons learned, things of that nature?
Well, the biggest lesson that we learned is that don't think too small. we planned small, not thinking that a lot of individuals would take advantage of this, or quite frankly, not a lot of companies would take advantage of it, and we were wrong. So we planned way too small. I think in this environment, in today's environment, with job recruiting and retention being such a high priority item, that you need to plan big for something like this. If you do have one of these things in your jurisdiction, you need to make sure that you have enough space, you have enough people. That's another thing that we struggled with, is having enough volunteers to greet the individuals as they were coming in. We tried to keep up with statistics on how many individuals came, how many people got a job. And that's another thing that we did later on that we learned, is that, let's recognize when someone does get a job. So we'd ring a bell or make an announcement that, hey, someone successfully received a job. And that makes everybody feel good. That builds momentum, and everybody who's in there looking at, gives them some excitement. So, a lot of little things like that, providing enough space, making sure that you get the word out to the right individuals. We have found that social media is one of the best ways to do that. So we invested a little bit of money in social media advertising. We had some great traditional media partners. One of the other things that we found is very helpful is to do a spotlight that day, that morning. So we'd get up early in the morning and be on, the 5:30, 6 o'clock morning news, reminding everyone that this event is happening.
How have you received community feedback? I mean, what's the response been, and has it helped in any way with the office's relationship with parts of the community?
The response has been overwhelming. And one of the reasons that you can do this, and it's not the main reason you should do it, but it lets the community know that we're not about just locking people up. Certainly that's part of our job, is prosecuting individuals and convicting them if that's what needs to happen. But the community needs to know that we also care, that we're not just trying to get notches in our belt and statistics, that we're also interested in keeping people out of the criminal justice system, maybe more so than putting people in the criminal justice system. So I think it's a great message to give to the community. So, the next time they see me on TV talking about someone that we prosecuted and put away, they know that, hey, this is a fair person, this is a fair office. Even that's a job that they have to do, but they also work in the community to try to keep people out of the criminal justice system.
Taking a look at your participants, it looks like you had some really broad support from companies large and small. Were there any particular staff in your office that were more helpful in terms of recruiting these types of employers, or did you rely on other community partners for this?
Well, we have a wonderful community outreach person in our office, Erica Franklin, who does a great job in all of our community outreach. And I tasked her with this responsibility to go out and find these companies. And she partnered with our pretrial diversion. So in our office, we have a diversionary program like many other DA's offices. And we thought that would be a great partnership to get them involved. So we had our pretrial diversion staff, along with Ms. Franklin, working, getting the word out with the companies. One of the things that we found out is that companies were more than willing to come. So a lot of these companies did not know, the first time that we had this, did not know this was going on. They felt left out and like, hey, I want to make sure we sign up for the next one. So we tried to do a better job, sending out letters to all these companies, just contacting them by phone, letting them know that, hey, this job fair is coming, in a couple of months, you need to get signed up. And so it's a little bit of organization, a little bit of work, but it's really not that difficult because of the willingness of these companies to come and sign up.
Any final words for us?
No, thank you for helping get the word out. I think this would be a great thing to have nationwide. I think it makes prosecutors look good. I think this is something that we can be proud of. And I do think it helps keep people out of the criminal justice system, which should be all of our goals.
Well, thank you for sharing this innovation with us, and thank you to our viewers. If you would like to share an innovation, please contact PCE directly at contactpce@pceinc.org. Thank you again.
Thank you.